This month is a lot of things going on, and I just want to let all you young ladies know that this is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and it's very important to let all you young ladies, not just us old girls, but young ladies at the age of 20, start checking your breasts. Start checking your breasts, because you just never know. Just because you're young, it doesn't mean that breast cancer can't come up on you. There's all kinds of cancers, but it's really amazing to me that this month I've been just really been thankful, just truly thankful, because in 2009 my best friend was diagnosed with cancer. He had a tumor, and we weren't aware of it. We were down in the country and doing some taping, and one of our close friends was celebrating a birthday, and Dre became sick, and we had no idea what was going on, and God just sets things up, you know, because Joe Garcia was testifying, because he had been very sick, and he was testifying, and we didn't know what the reason was that God had brought us together. But you know, God does things in his own way. But as it turned out, we had to go to the hospital, and we found out that Dre was diagnosed with cancer, and that was a great shock to us. And Dre and I, we prayed together, and we knew that God, he's in control, and God will place some good people in your life. He will place good people in your life. If you pray, he'll give you favor. He'll give you favor with doctors. And so little did I know that we'd be going through a series of testings, all kind of testings, and going back and forth to doctors, but we always had faith. And the funny thing about it is, Dre has an unusual gift. Not only is he gifted behind that camera, but God uses him. And on my niece's homegoing, he was prophesied to. A young prophetess came up to him and said, "Brother Dre, the Lord told me to tell you that you're going to live a long time. You're going to have a long life." We didn't know what he was talking about, she was talking about, but I'm going to tell you something. When God sends his people to you with the word, have an ear to hear what he has to say. I'm saying that to say this. Sometimes when you've been diagnosed with cancer, we get that C word, just everybody just gets afraid. But we don't have anything to fear but the Lord, because he has all powers in his hands. So for the whole year of 2009, we were up and down the freeway, going to see doctors and going to have MRIs and you name it. And I'm trying to be that strong woman, you know. I'm Darlene Love, and you know I'm tough. I'm tough. But underneath it, I'm just a big old baby girl. But I was strong. I was strong. So we went through all the process. And have you ever heard of a robot? You know, I thought robots was things that you seen in the movies. But God blessed us. He gave us some doctors. I'm telling you the truth. And ain't nothing like going to good doctors. Because let me tell you something about when they say HMO, let me tell you what that means to me. HMO means to me, have moved out permanently. So you better check yourself and check these HMOs, because I just don't have too much faith in them. And the reason why I say this is, every year I have my mammo. I got to keep up with my girls, you know. So anyhow, I goes in June, I believe it was, and I had my mammogram. And the girl, you know, you have to do the little girly thing, and it ain't so nice, you know. But anyhow, she clicks here and clicks there, and she said, okay, everything is fine, go wait out there. I said, okay. So she tells me everything is fine. I go home 3 days later at this HMO. I ain't gonna call no names, but anyhow. And they call me back and say they want to take another test. Now, she done already told me everything is fine. I said, now what is this all about? So I said, all right, let me go on back. I go back, and me and my girls go on to the HMO, and we sit on down and do what we got to do. Then she goes in and she shows the test to the doctor, and she came back out. She said, well, the doctor want to talk to you. I said, okay. I don't have no fear of nothing. All I got to fear is God, you know. So then the doctor comes in and talks to me. He says, well, we see something, and you know, it don't look too good. I'm like, well, do what you got to do, Doc. So they sets me up for a biopsy. I said, oh, Lord, what the heck is they talking about? So me and Dre, we pray about it. And I said, Lord, you know I'm your child. I know you got a lot for me to do. And I'm a nervous kind of person anyway. When they say stick needles, I can't even stick a needle in my finger. So I gets all set up for my little appointment and everything, and goes to that. And then they telling me they're going to have to put a wire or something. I said, what kind of wire? What the wire me for? I don't need no wiring. They said, well, we got to stick a wire. I said, no, I don't go for no wiring. What kind of wire you got? Well, it's a nickel plate. And when I say, well, you know, it better be the right kind, because I'm allergic to certain kind of things. So I had to get on the computer. We got to find out what kind of wire they using. So we did all that. That was all good. Then I called down to the facility, and I'm saying, now why is this wire necessary when you put this wire in, talking about a marker? I said, what you got to mark? Don't you know what you're doing? You know, I ain't trying to be funny, but you know, you need to ask questions. Just don't take their word at what they say. You better ask somebody and get. My best friend Cookie, who's gone, she was a cancer survivor for years. She said, always get on the computer. And she was right. She was right. So we did that. These little folks came in, and I told them, now I'm nervous. You're going to have to give me something. I'm nervous. I'm real nervous. I panics when you stick needles and stuff. So they came on. I took my little pills, and one little knockout pills, you know, them drugs. They give you drugs and stuff like that. I ain't no drug addict or nothing like that, but you're going to have to knock me out. So anyhow, they gives me the little pills, and they come in and they make their little X on you and mark you and all that kind of stuff. So don't be scared of all this stuff, because see, I know most people, you know, when you get to talking like sticking stuff in you, that ain't too good. So they did what they had to do. They brought a little lady come in, and then she had her little assistant, this little youngster. So I goes through the little procedures. They put you on a table and have you laying down and all that kind of crazy stuff. And then they get to messing with them girls. I don't like nobody messing with my girls, except for Honey. Anyhow, but so they did what they had to do, and they was taking quite a long time. So then after I went through the little process and everything, and then afterwards they finally said they was through, and then the doctor came, and then when I sat up, she kept holding my chest. I said, what's she getting up on me like that for? She said, well, I just need to put some pressure on your chest because it sort of got some bleeding. I said, oh, Lord, here we go. Here we go. So I said, now I hope they ain't mess with my girls like that. So we went on through that little procedure and everything. Had to sit there for a while. Then they told me to put some ice on it, so I did. Went home, waited for the results. This is come July, baby's birthday coming up. We had already decided we gonna go and we gonna celebrate on his birthday. So I gets a phone call on Honey's birthday. A phone call, mind you. This is your doctor. Yeah. Well, I hate to tell you this. Have your other doctor called you? No. Tell me what? Well, I'm sorry to tell you, but we found cancer. I said, well, doctor, whatever you found, it's going to have to wait because me and my honey going out for his birthday. We celebrating, and the rest is up to Jesus. So you have a good day. I hung up the phone. Then later on, I get the phone call from the doctor who did the biopsy. And she going to ask me, did the doctor call me? I said, what kind of thing is this you call up people? Whatever happened to making appointments and sit down and looking at people, talking to them eye to eye? That sort of bugs me. You just going to tell me on the phone, well, you got cancer. Oh, really? Well, let's go out and celebrate. So then I went through that part, but I knew in my heart if I hadn't had Jesus, when they told me that, I'd have broke down and cried. But what did we do? We went on out and celebrated his birthday, had some cake and everything, and I said, well, Lord, you in control, because he said in his word, he was wounded for our transgressions, and he was bruised for our iniquities, and the chastisement of peace was upon him, and by his stripes we are healed. So I didn't worry about nothing. And then I went to my little church, and I told them that I was having the test, and I'm telling you, when God send young people and choose young people, you better hear what God have to say. The church, the members gathered around me, and a young man. You've seen him on the television. You've seen him on there. He prayed. They prayed for me, and God sent that I was going to be all right. Said that I was healed, and I trust God. And when he sent his word, I believe it, and I had faith to believe that I'd be healed. So things went on, and I had to go back to the doctor. Then I said, well, send me my reports. So they send the reports. I said, I want all my reports. So one come back and say it's malignant. I said, now, okay, you say it's malignant, but you send me the report saying the biopsy, saying it was, what's it say, benign. So that's sort of confusing. It's either it is or it ain't. So which is it? So here we go. I don't like roller coaster rides. Then they started taking me on the roller coaster ride. Well, we need to have you come in. We need to have you take another biopsy. Then we need to have you to take ultrasounds and sonograms and MRIs. This went on from June to December. Then I finally said, I don't want to deal with these doctors here. So I goes to another doctor. I calls one of my friends who's a 20-year cancer survivor. God is good, let me tell you. When you have faith, you can get through anything. Anything, do you hear me? So, I tell you, I must have been on a journey. I was on a journey. I kept going back and forth, up and down, in and out, all these tests and all these biopsies, and I said, this is getting confusing to me. You keep saying the biopsy saying that it's benign. So if that means it's okay. So then I said, y'all is confusing me. Let me get on this computer again. Then they tells me it's DCIS. Now what the heck is that? And I'm saying, well, if it's that, well, then I talked to one of my sisters in the Lord, and she said, what you need to do is you need to ask him what stage are you at. So this one of them nurses just gonna call and set me up to have surgery. I said, we got to talk about this. I don't just jump up and do surgeries and stuff like that. So then they gonna set me up with some doctors. I said, I need to know about the doctors. Well, these are the two we have. Well, that's your two. So I decided to go to another doctor that my friend had. And this lady been doing surgery for over 30 years. But then I met with her one time, and then here come this nurse calling me up, setting me up for surgery. And I said, whoa. I've only talked to the doctor one time. How you gonna set me up for surgery? Well, we kept going on. They called me on a Saturday morning. We setting you up. I said, look, let me tell you something. You playing with my life. And we're going to go through this thing, and we're going to make sure that you know what you're doing. Well, to make a long story short, I gets calls from the doctor. And I said, now, she explained to me what was going on and what they saw. But the funny thing is I had another mammogram. And when I went in, the girl took the wrong girl. So instead of the right one, she took the left one. So that was another problem. So I said, oh my goodness, do these people know what they're doing? So I went on and took that test and then had to wait for those results. Then in the meantime, they set me up for another test, and I go in for that. And it was supposed to be 2 tests. I went home. 2 days later, they told me to come back. Meantime, they charging you all this money and everything. I'm like, So I talked to the people, and this is how God will give you a favor. She said, well, we're going to waive the charges. I said, I suggest you do. So anyhow, this is June, July, August has passed. Here comes September. So I'm getting a little leery because I'm trying to figure out how long is it going to take. So then I get phone calls from the doctor. Now, I'm accustomed, my daddy or my mom always told me, when you're talking to people about your health and about the law and different things, you need to talk to them and you need to look them in the eye. You need to be face to face. Well, I started getting these calls from the doctor. So the doctor says, well, I want to explain to you some things. I said, well, first of all, doctor, I want all the records of every test y'all have taken on me. I want them sent to me. Well, it took a long time to do that because I want to see what you guys have been doing. So finally I get the records, and as I read the records, I look back, and some years back they had did a mammogram and found something, and they never told me. Never told me. So I said, okay, we're going to deal with this. So finally, the doctor calls me up, and we talk on the phone, and I said, well, doctor, I'd rather come into the office. He said, well, I'm trying to save you a trip. Nope, no problem. I'd rather see you in the office. Then she asked me a question, and this is what really threw up the flag with me. She said, how would you feel if we performed surgery and found out, removed or take off whatever they said they had to do, either a mastectomy or lumpectomy or whatever the things is. She asked me, how would I feel if they performed the surgery and removed stuff and found that I didn't have cancer? And I said, what did you say? Asking me how I feel. Well, how you think I'ma feel? So there was a little flag right there. So I said, I need to pray about this, and I need to get back to you. So then I had set up to make another appointment because they kept setting me up for surgery. I said, how are you going to give me surgery when I've only seen the doctor one time? So then I get a call about 8:30 one night. As the doctor said, I thought I'd call you to save you a trip. I said, save me a trip? Well, I said, no, doc, I'd rather see you, and I want all my records. She said, well, you can get a second opinion, but they probably going to tell you the same thing. I said, well, just let me get all my records. So that was another flag. I said, Darlene, these folks is playing with your life, and this ain't none too good, okay? So the next morning I got up, and I was watching TV one night, and they was talking about cancer in the cancer center. So I said, let me make this call to the cancer center. So I did. I made the phone call, and he gave me some numbers, and I called him because I figured if I'm in this HMO and I go to them, they just going to look at the other records, and they going to agree, and they just want to do surgery. So I said, well, no, I'm going to make a call. So I called the Cancer Society. A young gentleman came on the phone, and he said, let me give you these numbers, and you call these places. So I decided not to call the place that was in the city. I said, let me go. I've heard so much about this hospital. So they gave me John Muir. I made the phone call, And on making that phone call, they set me up, and I'll never forget. They set me up with, her name is Vicki Riccone with the John Muir Cancer Institute.